about the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah.
We gave it an extra day to let Brewers fans recover from the loss against the Dodgers over the weekend, but we want to take a little time to look on the bright side.
Yeah, that's because the crew really had a great season. It tied the franchise record for wins and finished with the best record in the National League. So we wanted to look back on the great season and look forward to the next one, hopefully, with our friend Jim Rutledge over at ESPN Radio. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I guess let's start by looking back a little bit. We are talking about a team that has great attendance, one of the lowest payrolls in baseball right now, and yet, kind of the Cinderella story, you can say, of the playoffs here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting with the Brewers. Because they have the low payroll, everyone's excited about what they're able to do, but they were the #1 seed in the National League. They had home field advantage for Game 7, so I think there's a mix of feelings for Brewer fans. Very excited about how the season went and winning the division and beating the Cubs, but then when you get to the playoffs and you are the #1 seed and you don't get to the World Series, I think there's a mix of disappointment because being a small market team, it's never guaranteed that you're going to be back. It's never guaranteed you're going to be back if you're a big market team. Chicago won 95 games, and they got in a one-game playoff and lost. So that's kind of a mixed feeling right now, I think, for Brewers fans.
I have to be honest. The last time I was a big fan was 2011, our last run. I loved Prince Fielder. I loved those days. And I remember us having a problem with our bullpen back then. What do we need to work on for next season?
Bullpen's not a problem this.
Yeah, I know, we have a this time around. How about our starting pitchers?
The part for the Brewers pitching is who's going to be there. It sounds like Wade Miley might be leaving through free agency. I don't know if they'll want to pay him. There could be other guys. Suter obviously won't be around next year. The bullpen I feel comfortable with. It's the starting pitching. You don't know. Right. Could Burns be a starter? Woodruff, is he a starter? Who else is going to be a starter? Can Shashin repeat what he did last year? Last year was a career year for the Brewers. Overall, how do they compensate for, are guys going to repeat what they did, or did they exceed what they're capable of by 10, 15%? And Shashin, or even a Yelich could fall into that. Is Yelich an MVP next year, or is he just an all-star? He's definitely going to be an all-star caliber player. Will he be the best player in the National League? I don't know, and so you got to make up that difference.
Well, then you add to the mix the, we'll call it creative style that Craig Counsell had in this postseason. I mean, especially with the pitching. Do you foresee more of that, less of that as we kind of head into the seasons to come here?
I think it depends on what they do in the offseason. Do they go out and get a Jacob deGrom? How healthy is Jimmy Nelson? I mean, remember, he didn't pitch at all this year. So there's moves the Brewers are capable of making, and I think they'll make them this year. Counsell was creative, but in part because he had to be, because there were holes in the starting pitching staff, that they only could go maybe 5 innings. You didn't want them to see a lineup more than 3 times, or really even 2 times in a game. If he gets a deGrom and Nelson gets healthy and Shashin continues to progress, then you have 3 guys that are capable of going deeper into games if they want to.
Briefly, we have to look ahead to the World Series. Dodgers or Red Sox? What are you thinking?
I think it'll be the Red Sox. I think the American League has been the best league throughout this year. The Dodgers, they were there last year. That's the one thing that I think plays in their favor. But they struggled against the Brewers. They obviously got the win, but they didn't look flawless. I mean, both those teams, the Brewers or the Dodgers, I don't care which one got there. I was probably going to pick the Red Sox to win it because they are really good and they're rolling right now.
Yeah, it is really, if you haven't watched yet this season, they are quite good and very exciting to watch. So thanks, Jim, as always, for coming in. We'll get you on the Badgers coming up here, hopefully before the Big Ten Championship.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. Knocking on wood. Sorry, I just jinxed it a little bit.
Please.
All right, 6:18 your time right now, and roller coaster seems to be a bit of an understatement when we're talking about the weather.